Hello, this is John Miyares from the Great Lakes Regional Field Office in East Lansing, Michigan. In this presentation, we're going to discuss how to complete Section C of the Production Practices Report. The goal of Section C is to identify fertilizer and nutrients used to produce this year's crop on the selected field. There is another video that the Northern Plains region put together which explains the details better on specific fertilizers. In the main table of Section C, we are collecting information about commercial fertilizer applications. We are specifically excluding unprocessed manure, compost, lime, gypsum, micronutrients, and any carryover from previous crops. The data collected in Section C are, among other reasons, used to determine the geographic extent and intensity of the use of these nutrients. Data are also analyzed to measure adjustments of fertilizer applications, whether for crop needs or for reduction of losses to the environment. Data are also used to analyze water quality and agricultural productivity issues and policies. The long form of ARMS 2, which we are not doing this year in the Great Lakes region, also asks questions about manure, compost, lime, etc., and asks additional questions about nutrient management practices. In the fertilizer applications table, you will want to record all commercial fertilizer applications either as chemical nutrients or other fertilizer materials that were applied specifically for use on the current year's crop. You should begin by including any nutrient or fertilizer applications applied to the field last fall after the harvest of the previous crop. If the selected field was fallow last year, meaning that there was no crop planted there and the field was sitting idle, possibly due to prevented plantings, you will want to include any nutrients or fertilizers applied during the summer of last year or earlier, essentially going back to the harvest of the previous year's crop of whatever was in that field. The fertilizer application table shows a checklist which can be used to help determine what we want to include and exclude from the table. It is important to make sure that all applications of the nutrients and fertilizers for the current year's crop are listed in this table. In the fertilizer application table, we will first record the nitrogen, phosphate, potash, and sulfur content of each fertilizer material applied to the field in column 2. This can be recorded as percent analysis, which is the preferred method, or pounds of actual nutrients, which really only should be put if absolutely necessary. All commercial fertilizers should show the percent analysis on the label. Remember, each application of fertilizer will get its own line. In column 3, we are to record the quantity applied in rates per acre. Do not put the amount applied to the entire field. For example, suppose an operator indicated that they applied 60 pounds per acre of diammonium phosphate. The percent analysis for diammonium phosphate is 18% nitrogen, 46% phosphate, and no potash, no sulfur. In column 2, we can record the 18% for nitrogen and the 46% for phosphorus and put dashes for potassium and sulfur. In column 3, we enter a 60, and in column 4, we enter a 1 to indicate pounds. You do want to verify that the total application rate is correct. Now, if the operator reports pounds of actual nutrients, so for example, the operator said, I applied 90 pounds of nitrogen per acre, he's probably referring to actual nutrients. So he applied some amount of an actual fertilizer to maybe get a kind of analysis to reach 90 pounds per acre, but for our intents and purposes, all we need to know is the 90 pounds of nitrogen per acre. In that case, we'll put in column 2, 90 under nitrogen, dashes under the other 3 columns, and we will leave column 3 blank, but put a 19 in column 4. In column 5, We want to record when the fertilizer was applied. The choices include in the fall before seeding, in the spring before seeding, at seeding, or after seeding. Depending upon the target crop planted in the selected field, different fertilizer application times might be appropriate, as fertilizer might be applied in the fall or in the spring. In years when the target crop is winter wheat, which is typically seeded in the fall, saying that the fertilizer was applied in the spring before seeding doesn't make a lot of sense. Make sure, again, as noted before, record each application on a separate line and do not try to combine multiple applications of the same product on a single line of the table. In column 6 of the table, we want to record a code representing how the fertilizer was applied. In-depth descriptions of the various application methods can be found in the interviewer's manual. In column 7, we're going to record the acres that were treated with a given fertilizer. Please do not just write all in the box. Please record your acres to the nearest tenth. So 10 acres applied would be 10.0. It is important to know if only a portion of the field was treated, so please leave good notes if only a portion of the field is treated with fertilizer. There's a few things you need to make sure to remember when you are double checking your work on the fertilizer application table. Remember to record each individual application made to the selected field on a separate line. Do not combine multiple applications of the same product on one line. Be sure to record any custom applications. Also record any split applications where the operator may have applied fertilizer to part of the field one time and another part of the field a second time. Pay attention to the number of fertilizer products applied and the number of applications made. If you need to use supplements because there were more than 8 fertilizer applications made, make sure you are writing on the top of the supplement page the version number, the state ID, and the POID onto any supplement pages used. Also be sure to assign the next table number to each supplement, starting with table 002, then 003, and 004, and so on. Keep an eye out if the respondent indicates they are using a bulk blend. When bulk blends are applied, you want to record each product on a separate line, even if it's blended for a single trip across the field. Do not simply add the percentages together and write the total pounds. Farmers reporting units of nitrogen, phosphate, potash, and sulfur are probably reporting pounds of actual nutrients. Farmers might also report fertilizers by name rather than by percent analysis. The respondent booklet shows some of the more common fertilizers with their usual analysis, so be sure you have the respondent booklet ready. The fertilizer table in the respondent booklet also provides information on liquid versus dry forms, so you will know whether to record the application rate in gallons or in pounds. Finally, be sure you are recording a rate per acre on the fertilizer and not simply a total application of all pounds to the field. On this slide, we see some examples of how one might record different fertilizer applications in the table in section C. This may be a good opportunity to pause this and take a look and see how these were recorded. Some operators may indicate that they are applying gypsum to their fields. Gypsum is marketed to farmers as a soil amendment because it reduces magnesium and aluminum in the soil, improves soil structure, water infiltration and drainage. It could possibly allow for less commercial fertilizer usage and helps build the soil health in biology in the soil. It does not affect the soil pH directly. If an operator indicates that they are applying gypsum to their field, we do not want to include it in the table in section C. Operators may also indicate that they applied lime to their fields. Lime reduces soil acidity, replaces calcium and magnesium in the soil, improves the effectiveness of herbicide, and improves environment for organic material. It is applied periodically, but not generally on an annual basis. While we do ask questions about lime applications on the long form of ARMS 2, we should not be including any lime applications in this Section C fertilizer table. This table shows the results from the last time we conducted this survey when soybeans were the targeted crop. For the 2018 crop year, farmers applied nitrogen to 29% of soybean planted acres at an average rate of 17 pounds per acre for a total of 416.4 million pounds.